Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. We're the Movie Couple. I'm Dustin.
I'm Wendy.
And this is our review for The Beanie Bubble. The unbelievable tale of one of America's most fascinating phenomenon, Beanie Babies. Flashing back to the 90s and early 2000s, an in-depth look at how the era-defining zeitgeist came to be. The Beanie Bubble is directed by Kristin Gore and Damian Kulash, and stars Elizabeth Banks, Zach Galifianakis, Sarah Snook, and Geraldine Viswanathan. The Beanie Bubble is one of those movies that, once again, I had not heard of or seen any trailers before we saw it. So all you really need to know, though, is the name of the movie. I mean, everyone has heard about Beanie Babies. If you were around in the 90s. If you were a child of the 90s or in the 2000s, you know about what Beanie Babies were and the huge crash that happened, or the bubble that popped. And it is just an interesting story to be able to be like, oh yeah, you know, I remember all of those. What exactly happened? So I was fascinated just from the title alone and from the cast that was involved. I was very interested in going to go and seeing this movie.
So what's funny is if you grew up in the 90s, you will remember not only the Beanie Baby craze, like everybody fought tooth and nail for it's kind of like almost like the equivalent for like Tickle Me Elmo. Remember when that was like a big craze? Beanie Babies had that whole thing as well, but it was also around the era where the internet was born and became available in people's homes. So they have packed a lot of that. Things that relates to that era into this movie. But like Dustin said, I never really knew sort of the history and the creation of Beanie Babies, the people behind it, the company, the story of them.
The drama.
Yeah, and what happened. So this was really interesting to kind of see how it started and essentially how it ended. So like Dustin described earlier, it stars Zach Galifianakis, Elizabeth Banks, Sarah Snook, and Geraldine Viswanathan. And for one, I love Geraldine. I loved her. The first time I saw her was in Kay Cannon's Blockers, and I absolutely love her. And ever since then, I've been following, you know, just the titles and the projects that she's been in, and she has delivered every time. But honestly, this is a great cast who were able to bring these characters to life. I want to give the caveat to say that the only person that they kept the name like true to the character and true to the actual person is Ty Warner, who is the I guess the founder,
CEO,
the founder of Ty Inc., which is the company that created and sold and distributed the Beanie Babies. The rest of the cast, their names have been changed, but the characterization, I believe it's still pretty close, not exactly like 100%, but pretty close to the actual person in history.
And in the movie, the actors do an amazing job on bringing these characters to life, really making you sympathize with them, making you understand their story. But I have to admit, one of the unsung stars of this movie is the nostalgia. There is so much 90s culture in there.
Yes.
There's so many little things that if you grew up in this era, you're giving little chuckles, because this happened right when the internet was starting up. And it talks about how that influenced everything that was going on. It talked about Bill Clinton, eBay. This new website, eBay. And every time we saw it, we chuckled to see all of these little bits of nostalgia and be like, I get it. I get that reference.
So the movie centers around Ty specifically, which is Zach Galifianakis' character, the founder of the company, but also the people that he were involved with, which were their character names were Robbie, Maya, and Sheila. And each of these women had a huge hand in helping that company and his product become as popular as they are. Sure, he had, you know, sort of this concept to start off the Beanie Babies. These, like, he wanted to make stuffed animals, but that were not stuffed to the brim. That was like the one thing, the one concept that really set his products apart from the other people's. They were a little bit more softer because they're understuffed. They were more posable. He had this weird thing about, like, aesthetically how to pose his products for when they're being photographed, how they have to make eye contact with the camera. So he was very vain in that sense about himself, about the people that he was involved with, and obviously about his product. And you can see that bleeds into not just his business, but his home life. But inevitably, Ty, being just this self-centered egomaniac CEO, would take the hard work of these people that were helping him and giving him ideas, whether it was an employee or a family member or somebody, like say his wife, that that he was involved with, take their idea and pass it off as his own and never crediting them. And essentially at the end, cutting them out of a deal, but trying to play the victim himself.
Yeah, so much. It's my product that you did that with. It was because of me. And you're like, no, I did the work. I was a part of this. And to see, the thing is with people like this is that, yeah, they can be very charming at certain points. And Zach Galifianakis does a really good job on pulling off this, oh, I can see why you trusted him. And sitting there at the same time, he's going, don't trust him.
Yeah.
Don't trust, because we all know the direction that this movie is taking. And I have to admit, something that they did very well in this was the pacing, but also the messing up of the, or like the tweaking of the timeline, telling you a little bit of this.
They jumped back and forth a lot.
And at first, I was kind of caught me off guard. But once they start building up the story, and you start seeing how they're building it up, the way that it all ends together is so brilliantly done. It's just the perfect crescendo of all of these different stories coming together and having their ending, even though they're different points in time, all ending at the same time.
Essentially, it's almost equivalent to watching a murder mystery and watching the detective slowly, gather the clues, peeling back the layers, and the big reveal. So you sort of see in it kind of backwards and forwards, and you see one person's POV. It could be Maya's or Sheila's or Robbie's or Ty's, and then they flip it around, and then they show the other side of things, which I thought was really brilliant storytelling, and it made you feel so invested because you are seeing four people's, perspective on essentially the same experience. So if you're ever curious about the rise and fall of the Beanie Babies, if you need a little trip down, nostalgia lane, this movie may pique your interest. So it's not going to be in theaters. It's going to be on Apple TV Plus. So if you ever, if you're a 90s kid and you collected Beanie Babies, I don't know, did you ever collect Beanie Babies?
Never collected them. I think I had a few, but that's pretty much it. I never went out and tried to collect all of them.
Yes.
I think I bought some because I'm like, oh, okay, these are supposed to be a good investment.
Oh my God, really?
But
that's why you bought them?
Never really spent. But of course, it was probably after the crash. And there was still like the word of, oh yeah, Beanie Babies are a good investment. And of course, so I'm trying to sell 10 of them for 50 cents. You want some?
Oh my gosh. So another thing that this movie touched on really well was the collector craze.
Yes.
And so Beanie Babies actually never did any commercials. Like you won't remember seeing them in any sort of major commercials, billboards, and etc. But it was the word of mouth that got people into the Beanie Baby craze. And it was people seeing these different types of Beanie Babies, whether it's a bear, a dog, a frog, or whatever, with their cute little tags, which you will discover in the film when you see for yourself. We don't want to ruin that experience
or the ones that they
for you.
Or the ones that they gave away at McDonald's.
Right, and the teeny beanies, which I remember passionately ordering so many Happy Meals just so I could get, I don't even remember now which ones I wanted, but like that was the craze. Like people would line up and get like, a bunch of Happy Meals just to complete their collection. And then there were chasers, limited editions, and exclusive and special editions, and etc. Like the Princess Di Bear was a really big one. I remember, when she passed away and they created that, and that was like a huge phenomenon. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and give our rating for the Beanie Bubble. If you're unfamiliar with the movie couple rating system, it is listed for you in the video description below. This movie surprised me. I enjoyed it way more than I thought it was going to be because I thought, wow, they're making a movie about Beanie Babies. They're going to make a movie about anything now. But I'm pleasantly surprised. It's well acted, naturally given the cast, and it tells the way they tell the story is really interesting and very intriguing. And even though it's not going to be in theaters, my rating for it is check it out.
I have to admit, I was actually a little bit on the other end of the spectrum with my anticipation for this movie. As soon as I heard about it, I'm like, oh, this is going to be interesting. I'm thinking this is going to be a cool little story of the rise and fall of a phenomenon that, if you were around during this time, you know what a Beanie Baby is, even if you did not collect them. So I knew it was going to be an interesting story. I did not expect to be as involved in it as I ended up being. So I'm definitely giving it a check it out. I enjoyed it, and I think it's a really fun watch.
Hey you guys, thank you so much for checking out our review for the Beanie Bubble. Let us know in the comment section, do you remember collecting or buying any Beanie Babies? And if you did, were there any one that you really sought after, or the one that you got that was like, yes, I got the one that was most important to me? Did you wait in line at McDonald's to get the teeny beanies? Let us know in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.